823, Big 550 KTRS. David Blaustein joins us. And David, are you over the Dallas Cowboys loss from last week?
What loss?
What loss? He, ladies and gentlemen, he is in denial. He still has not come to the conclusion.
Denial is a river in Egypt, pal.
Well, I'll tell you what.
I was over it about 24 hours later.
Oh, okay.
I know the exact time. It was 5:01 p.m. the following day. I was officially over it. I was done. I have moved on. I recognize that we were gifted with an amazing season that nobody expected, and it's a lot to build on. I think we have the right coach. We've retained most of the staff. Some players we have to re-sign. We need to get better on the defensive line. We need to be a little more disruptive. I mean, the problem with that game is that Aaron Rodgers spent too much time on his hobbled leg, and that was an issue. DeMarco Murray fumbling probably didn't help either.
Well, that Des Bryant, I don't know. I know what the rule says, but it was a catch.
I'm over that too because it was more than that. Look, the call from the previous week during the Lions game was an awful call, but the same thing applies to the Cowboys game when it happened to them. It was more than just the call. I mean, the Lions had plenty of opportunities, just like the Cowboys had plenty of opportunities. I mentioned the DeMarco Murray fumble, the awful decision to throw the ball on 3rd and 1 when they were running the ball so effectively, missing that field goal. Really not once but twice, kind of, when you think about it, a stupid penalty. And so, there were so many other ways that the Cowboys could have won the game. They also the defense could have stepped up, and they could have stopped Aaron Rodgers on that last drive, but they didn't. The call, that call was a little painful, and everybody knows it's a stupid rule. It's as dumb as the Tuck rule, but, it's as dumb as when they took it away from Calvin Johnson, but, that's the life of a sports fan.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is a very well-adjusted Cowboy fan. That's for sure.
Thank you.
All right, so we heard you yesterday with the Oscar nominations, and we heard
How brilliant was I? I was great.
You were
Excellent.
tremendous. It was the best lead-in to an Oscar nomination walk-up I've ever heard. Afterwards, you were talking about some of the snubs with Jason Nathanson. You've had 24 hours to reflect. What are your thoughts on the nominations now?
I'm more angry about it today than I was yesterday. You know what? Sometimes when things are going on, I didn't realize at that point that the Lego Movie had not been nominated for Best Animated Film.
Right. Wow.
And to me, the Lego Movie, I was a little surprised. I wouldn't have been surprised if it was nominated for Best Picture.
Right.
That's how highly I think of the Lego Movie. I really do think it was one of the best movies to come out last year. And, not that how much a movie makes is not a reflection of how good a movie is. We all know that. But it was the second highest grossing movie of the year. Now, disregard that. It was actually the second or third highest rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes as well. So it's this critically acclaimed film that's pretty much universally loved, that everybody recognizes as brilliant. How could it not be the best animated film of the year? It is the best animated film of the year, hands down. And so that was stupid. Ava DuVernay not getting nominated for Selma, also absolutely ridiculous. It feels like the Academy, once again, is really out of touch with what's going on in the world. And I'm not saying you need to nominate her because she's black, and I'm not saying you need to nominate her because Selma is about Martin Luther King Jr. Selma is an excellent film, and it's an important movie that many people are going to consider a classic that's already being used as an educational tool in various municipalities around the country. Students can see it for free in various cities, and that was really lost on the Academy. Now, in fairness, to put it in context, the Academy does have 6,000 voting members of whatever it is, 7 or 8 different voting wings. They don't all get together and collectively make a decision. There's a voting system. They put numbers next to what they want to vote for: first place, second place, third place. Each place is assigned a number of points. So there's that. But it just seemingly seems like collectively they're out of touch with reality. Now, I think it was a little bit, not that it was a difficult job, but you're asked to sit down and you're asked to watch all these movies, and you're asked to be fair and objective. And in fairness to the Academy, it was a year of bad movies, but still, you should recognize that Ava DuVernay deserved to get nominated. Also, Jennifer Aniston, and Jennifer Aniston's had plenty of accolades. She has all the money in the world. She has a terrific life, but she still wants to be recognized for being a great actress. And go see the movie Cake. It's a terrific movie. She gives the performance of her life in it, and if she was nominated, she probably had a really good chance of winning, I would think. But she wasn't nominated, so she won't get that chance.
The movie Whiplash came out yesterday. That no one was talking about that movie beforehand.
Whiplash is genius, and that's the one. That's my favorite nomination. That is definitely my favorite nomination in the Best Picture category. There's generally one picture which sneaks in there, which will surprise some people, and then you're happy it got nominated. Whiplash is one of the best movies of the year. This was the first year in a long time I didn't put out a top 10 list, and that's because, as you may or may not know, I had kind of a tumultuous December, and I didn't have time to see every single movie in a timely fashion, so it wouldn't have been fair for me to put out a list. But had I put out a list, Whiplash would have been in my top 5.
What about
that is really, it's a great movie. J.K. Simmons got nominated yesterday. J.K. Simmons, as far as I'm concerned, is the only lock out of the major categories. He's the only one right now where I will say he is definitely going to win. I mean, J.K. Simmons, it was smart of them the way they did it. The movie companies, the people who make the movie get together with the movie company, and they decide who they're going to submit for what category. And you could have submitted J.K. Simmons in the lead actor category. And then Miles Teller, who also is terrific in this movie and is a great young actor, he could have been submitted for Best Supporting Actor. But J.K. Simmons is one of those guys who's been around for so long and is this incredibly respected character actor in Hollywood, and also a great pitchman on TV as well. And so I think they recognize that if they put him in the Best Supporting Actor category this year, he would win. The acting category is very competitive.
He played Skoda on Law and Order, and he's the farmer's insurance guy on those farmers commercials. For those who don't know who we're talking about,
he's also the father in True. No, I mean he's got. You can go down a long list of things. That
Another big snub, or at least I thought, and McGraw loved the movie, was Gone Girl.
Gone Girl is a pretty big snub as well. I mean, it's not that's not as egregious as the Lego Movie in the Best Animated Picture category, because Gone Girl. There are some people, there are some critics who really didn't like it. Not that matters, but I could make a case for it, and I could make a case against it. I'm pro Gone Girl. I would have liked to have seen it nominated for Best Picture.
Somebody said somewhere yesterday, and it was the best I've heard, a movie where a 5-year-old and a 45-year-old both loved it equally. That movie should have been nominated. Talking about Lego Movie.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. It's definitely a movie that I think it crosses over into generations. I mean, the next movie we're going to probably get like that will be the Star Wars film. But the Lego Movie definitely had something there, and it was surprising. It was surprising. There's this part, I don't want to ruin it for people who didn't see it, but something happens in that movie that totally catches you off guard and really moves you emotionally. And it's not just clever satire on pop culture, because there's a lot of clever satire on pop culture. It's a very, very well-written film, and I think it's also just a terrific story. I mean, those guys just did such a good job with it, and it's a shame that the Academy didn't recognize it. The only thing they're recognizing is that, they nominated Everything Is Awesome. And I don't know if Everything Is Awesome is even going to win. That's the song from the movie. But that movie deserves more than that. Again, putting it into context, the people who made that movie have a lot of money, and they've gotten a lot of other awards. But an Oscar is still, it's nice. It deserves the Oscar nomination.
David Blaustein, great job as always. Have a good week. We'll talk to you next Friday.
Take care, guys.
All right. David Blaustein here talking about the Oscar nominations.